What's up? What's up? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's surviving out there. What's up to the chat? I see Gemini and I see Slump in there too. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so today, let me go ahead and cut this off. So today, we're going to be taking things into a slightly different direction. Well, first of all, my name's Will. Appreciate anybody for being here. And if you catch it on playback, appreciate you. I've done a lot of different things on this channel. Everything from, structured tutorials, all the way to, just as uploads, and then all the way to just live streams where I have absolutely zero structure and I'm just doing whatever, noodling, whatever, making beats. So this 2.8 update is pretty damn dope. And so let me make sure that I am live on here. Yeah, looks like I am. So then this update is pretty damn dope. And so what I want to try to do is to do, a little bit more, semi-structured, with basically being able to show you live workflow applications for what we can do. In today, specifically in a DAW-less setup, if you want to make music in an organic way that is on the fly, I'm going to give you the recipe to be able to create music without stopping. If you want to do that, if that's the type of stuff that you want to try, no quantize, just building stuff on the fly, then I can help you at least get set up so that you can start practicing and start at least, I'm no expert, but I'm willing to share. That's what I do on this channel. I'm willing to share what little bit of information I might find along the way. And so between all the tutorials I've done and all the live streams I've done, I've just done a lot of different things. So I did write some stuff down because I just didn't want to miss anything. We're going to just, jump right in here. I think I got pretty much everything off the top of my head, which is cool, but I wanted to have a couple of these things just in case. And I mean, yeah, this was one of the most important things, like music creation is a very meditative thing for me. So I think for a lot of people, we find a lot of comfort in making beats. It's kind of like a Zen kind of feeling when you're in it and you're making music and you're kind of forgetting about everything else that's going on in the world, So because of that, feeling that I get, when I'm making music, it's therapeutic. I built this live stream, music studio, whatever, so that I could capture these, these little tricks and these little things that I do as I grow, because, we're all getting better every day. We're all getting better every day. We're just not getting any younger. So, me passing it a little bit of what I get along, maybe that helps somebody that also isn't getting any younger, and maybe this can help jumpstart something for you. So I think that's pretty much it. What we're doing more specifically, focus on music creation and workflow techniques for DAW-less applications. The MPC, the Force, the Deluge, these are all great things for that type of environment. So today we're going to focus on the basics of that type of stuff. I'm trying not to wear this out, but I have a lot of spontaneous energy and a lot of spontaneous ideas. So if I can get in here with some semi-structured thing, I could do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and for beginners, for people that want to learn how to work MIDI, learn how to work in a live kind of environment, I could share quite a bit of information. So so just working on the DAW-less kind of situation that I find liberating. Now I do use a computer when I need to. It's not a big deal. I have Ableton. I'm Berkeley trained and performing with Ableton Live. So I like Ableton. I like the push, but it doesn't mean that I can't do other things. I prefer to work with my hands. I don't get any muscle memory from a mouse. I want to be able to shut my eyes. There's a reason for that. And navigate things without even looking. The name I Will Create is very significant. I was blind. So music is a very therapeutic thing for me because when I had no vision, I still had music. And I've only been making beats for a couple years. So I'm just learning all this stuff at the same time. All this equipment I bought within a period of about 2 years. So today, 2.8. We've got, I wrote track nav. I can't remember why I wrote track, but navigating. Oh, that's right. Navigating the tracks. I remember why I said that. So navigating the tracks. So like now it's very easy to jump from tracks. And, that was never possible before like that. So that's very dope. Time correct on off. We now have a quick access to time correct on and off. So for me, I don't really quantize much. I might quantize the snare, but that's about it. So for us, Dallas type cats or whatever, people that are live performing, you can now turn your time correction or whatever, quantize. I don't get technical, but if you hold shift, your screen now highlights. Check it out. See right there? You push shift and that highlights. That turns on your metronome, just like that. It can also turn off your quantize, just like that, and your time correct. So that is extremely big. That is a sneaky, that's what I call a sneaky huge improvement. Sneaky huge. So we're also going to set up some MIDI tracks. I'll show you how to set up MIDI tracks properly so that you can use equipment. I'll use the MS-20. I'll set that up. I'll show you for a DAW-less environment why you want to set it up the way I set it up, because you don't want to have interference. You don't want to have MIDI interference. This was the nightmare before 2.8. We had MIDI interference constantly, and if you didn't have a MIDI patch bay to run everything through first, you were screwed. Man, I hope there we go. Maybe that's a little better. Looked like I was coming a bit hot. All right, so the couple other the big things. So the MIDI tracks and then the drums. Now we've got drum kits where we can send the MIDI, like I used to be able to on my 1000, send the MIDI from the drum kit to other pads. You can actually now copy pads to different programs. We got some huge updates in this. It's not just for MIDI people. This is workflow. This is what it's all about. We can now do something insane. Now I'm gonna look at this one. This is crazy. Can you see me? You can probably see me, but you probably can't hear me. We can now recall MIDI. Do you know what that means? That means that we can actually perform without record, and our MIDI notes are still in there. We can actually pull up something that we did not record. That's an Ableton trick. We have that in Ableton. That's MIDI capture. So we've got some MIDI technology, from Ableton right in our 2.8. It's not the only thing. There's a lot of similarities between some of the Ableton workflow and the MPC, and it's understandable with the way things are going. So and the copy pads thing, I already talked about that. So let's just go ahead and do it. So I talked about the track navigation. I'll just show you again real quick. If you're here now, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. This is going to be for anybody that wants to enjoy the luxuries of working without a computer. I can show you with MPC 2.8 how to get yourself set up so you can do more on the fly type work, you know. So let me just go ahead and get rid of what I've got here. Whoops, I hit, damn it. I just wanted to pull up a new one. Let me just pull up something new. Okay. All right, so now I'm in a completely empty project. If I have a track, so this is the first thing. Let's say I have a drum. Let me put a drum kit. I'll put one from the Odd Kits. You can pick up the Odd sound pack on streameralabs.com. There's also a couple other kits in there. They're free. Very cool, but very, very, very cool sounds. All right, so now I've got a drum kit. I'm going to copy that drum kit just for the purposes of this demonstration, just to show you. All right, so track 1, there's my drum kit. Track 2, I'll put the other drum kit. All right, and I'll even change this so that it's obvious that it's different. All right, track 1, track 2. Boom. Now I'm in track 2. I'm on the fly. I'm making music, and I can't remember, you know, where my other drums were. And usually you would just like go up and you would try and see, oh, my mutes, or you know, if you name them properly, you'd be able to see them. But now all we got to do is just hold the main button, and it pulls up any tracks that you have. And if you name them properly, which I haven't, let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll call this low kick. This stuff is just handy because you always want to be able to access everything you have quick. If you want to be creative and not have things get in the way of your creativity before you have a chance to get out your ideas. That's like the #1 killer of creativity, is something will distract you. Whether it's setting up a camera, or you got to turn on your computer, or you don't have a driver, or your USB isn't working. I can go down the line. Your interface is messed up. I mean, your monitor, I mean, just like, we can talk about that another time, but just get past that. So now I'm in the low kick, and I'm in the high kick. I'm playing a recording. Let me just go ahead. I'll make a 1-bar. I'll make a 2-bar loop. Where's my damn metronome? All right, let me do that one more time. Okay, now I want my high kick. Whoops, did I do the wrong one? Yeah, I did, my bad. I don't remember which one I did first, but you get the idea. Let me undo that. Let me try that one more time so I can give you a proper explanation here. So I'm on track 1. Let me go ahead and do the low kick first. I'll do a little snare too. All right, that's fine, because I'm just going to take it down to 2 bars. All right, so let's just say it was at 2 bars. I finished this last. Okay, go to track 2. Done. So now you've got kind of a quicker, and then you can just go back and forth. You know, if you got a whole bunch of stuff, you can just easily navigate like that. So that's that. All right. All right. So that's gone. Okay. Now I talked about the time correct. I'll show you one more time real quick about that. So with time correct, to be able to turn the metronome on and off, you would have to, before, you would have to reach for your knob and turn it. Turn your dial. Do I have an overhead? Kind of do. All right. So there's kind of an overhead here. But yeah, you'd have to reach this one. I guess this would be pad 5 if you were using the grid. So you would just turn that on and off. And then now you can easily do it just by hitting shift, and then it lights up. So now you can easily just turn your time correct on and off. Now, if you want to adjust it, you still have to go down. You still have to go down to your knob to adjust the amount of time correct. But the one thing that I love about this is the metronome. I mean, I'm always doing this, always turning the metronome on and off, because I only want to hear it, I want to hear it as little as possible. So that is a beautiful thing. Let's just turn that. Whoops. This is how you would do it before. That was instinct. That's the muscle memory that I was talking about. I've gotten so used to working in my area that I can do this stuff without thinking. And what happens is I'm going to need some time, because I just reached for that to turn the metronome on, and I don't need to do that anymore. Instead of having to do all those steps, that was 4 individual steps. Now you just have to hold shift, and that's it. That's beautiful. So I'll do that one more time. You hold shift. You see it right there, just like that. Cool, done. So it doesn't get much easier than that, unless there's just a button to turn it on and off. But you can't always have knob per function. It's just not always, possible. I mean, there's a lot of real estate on an MPC-X, but I like to be able to see these graphical layouts here, to be able to have like words on each knob. You wouldn't be able to do that if you stuffed in a bunch of more stuff in here. All right, so, okay, let's go ahead and set up the MIDI track. I'm going to use the MS-20, which is a hell of a bass synth. If you've ever heard any of my tracks, any music that I make, the MS-20 is on every track. It's every bass line I've ever made. And right here, you're seeing what the issue is. I'm hitting my bass and I'm getting MIDI. That's a problem, right? So let's fix that real quick. What you got to do, let me go to a MIDI track. Actually, we'll go up to the preferences first and make sure that we're not receiving MIDI where we're not supposed to be. Okay, right here, the MS-20 has control on. The only thing we need is track. Track is the furthest. I know it's a little blurry. It's the furthest, this one. It's this one here, the furthest to the right. Track is the only one we need, because all we need is for the MS-20 to appear in the track so that we can select it as a source or a destination. If this isn't highlighted, then we won't even see it to be able to choose it. So now, let's see. Okay, we're still getting some MIDI. So let me just make sure that the output is what it's supposed to be, and it is. It says track again. So now I want to make sure that anything that has MIDI coming in is not doing all. So you can find your MIDI preferences now. This is our channel, our tracks, our channel strip for our track. And in that, you have these MIDI options now. Let me see if I can focus this in just a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better. It says all ports. There we go. It says all ports. That's bad, because that means anything that's coming in right now is going to trigger this drum track. So you want to make sure in a DAW-less workflow, in this scenario, we don't want our drum tracks receiving any MIDI, because we're playing the MIDI. Technically, drums are MIDI because you don't have a sound in here. We don't need to get into the specifics. I'm not trying to confuse anybody. But these are MIDI. These are MIDI specific events. So we want to make sure this is off. It'll say none. If it's set up properly, it'll say none. Okay, none. Send, we don't need it because we're not recording any MIDI to be sent anywhere at this point. All we're trying to do is record drums on that. We're just trying to play the pads and have it record. So let me check and make sure the other track, our other copied drum kit is also, you can see there, it's also selected as all ports. Now they're both at none. None in, none out. Okay. And then the unused ones, they don't really matter as much. So let me make sure. Okay, I'm gonna unarm. You don't even need these. When you're working like this, you don't even need all of these monitored. So if you want to record, you can leave the auto on in most cases, but for me, I don't want any interferences anywhere. So I always choose to shut my stuff off because I don't need to monitor it. Now on the MIDI side, when I make a MIDI track, so now I'm going to be in a MIDI track. This is where your MIDI icon is. It's, there's 6 icons in here, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want to know what these are more in depth, you can watch Mod Boss episodes 1 through 4, which is another live stream tutorial series that I did, which can explain kind of the basics of the MPC and how to get you at least up and running making music. So on this MIDI track right here, I'm going to call this my MS-20. I'm going to take any questions too when I'm at a point where I can stop for a minute. So if you have any questions or anything, leave them here. This is why I want to do this, is so that I can allow people to ask any questions, and I can answer them, on the spot. So with MIDI input, we don't want all ports, even though this would work. In a DAW-less situation like this, or in a live performance situation, you want direct MIDI information. You don't want any mishaps. You don't want any globals. You want everything to be routed where it's supposed to go only, because you're going to come into some serious problems if you start sending MIDI duplicates to other tracks and other things. So I'm going to set this up to go only to the MS-20. I'm sorry, it's going to be coming from only the MS-20. So that's what it says now, MS-20. It can only be received from the MS-20. And I don't even want to leave it on all. That says all right here. I want to put it on a specific channel, only the channel I'm using, because I'm going to have 16 or more synthesizers on all different tracks. So on the output, we're going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to just find my MS-20 in the list. As long as you select track in the highlighted field over here, as long as you've selected track, then it will show up as an output as well. So now it's an output. It's going to channel 1. We can even send the MIDI from this track that I record to another MIDI track. If I wanted to send this, let's say I have my MS-20 and I have my mono station, and I want to play the same bass line on both to have a thick, nasty, I can detune one of them and record them both into a single track. I could actually record the MIDI coming in from the MS-20, and it would also send to the mono station if I choose the mono station as the send. So I would have to set up another track in here and call it mono station, and then it would show up in here. So we've got crazy flexible routing possibilities when you start to really get in there. Now, I'm not a pro at this, so we may have some problems here and there as we go through this, but I promise you I will figure it out. All right, so now I'm just going to unmonitor my MIDI. What we want to see is a blinking light up here only. We only want to see a blinking light. We don't want to see 2 blinking lights. Okay, I'm getting 2 blinking lights, so let me just shut this off. All right, so now I'm getting 1 blinking light. That's what we want. Now we know we're only getting input from the MS-20. There's nothing going out. As soon as we arm this or change the monitor, if I change the monitor, now you're going to get 2 lights again. And there's also a merge. I mean, there's a lot of functionality in here, but I'm just going to put the monitor, the arm, so that when I record this right now, it'll be able to play it back. So I'm going to go ahead and record. Let me turn this up loud enough. I need to be able to hear it too. Hold on one second. I'll put a high pass on it so that it cuts through the stream a little. All right. So I'm just going to make just something, okay? All right, let me do something. Okay, what I'm going to do is quickly put this metronome back on so I can hear it. Didn't do that right, did I? All right. Okay, so now we've got a MIDI track. And it played back perfectly, you know? That's what we wanted. And that's probably hella loud. You probably can't hear me. All right. So let me stop that. We now have a MIDI track. I'm just realizing now that was probably so loud you probably couldn't even hear me. That's all good. All right. So now we've got a MIDI track that's playing. It's playing back the MIDI. I'm going to show you why this is interesting. And this is not like, you know, I'm trying not to have expectations that people know what this is. So maybe this is like, of course you can do that, but for somebody out there that watches this, they're going to understand that this is very, very useful. And they may not have known that you could do this. So now you're playing back your MIDI. Now you can start to tweak your knobs and fine tune without putting it into audio. So now I got something I like. So now that I got something I like, so in a live situation, what I would do now is I would find a way to record this audio. So what I would do is while I'm playing this first bass line, so let's say it's now on its first playback. So it's coming back, okay? Let's say I'm playing it. All right, I'll show you what it would look like. Okay, so now it gets to the end. All right, so now that's recording. Sorry, it's playing back. So now I would go to the deluge or go to the MPC looper. I'll show you both. I would create an audio loop. And then what I would do is I would wait for it to get to the end, towards the end, and then I would start the recording. And I would start to tweak. And then when it gets to the end, I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to mute it. Okay, now I'm just in audio. There's no more MIDI. That's just audio from the deluge. Watch. It's off. But I still have my MIDI. So if I want to bring the MIDI back in, I just gotta stop this at the end and bring the mute back in. Now I got my MIDI back. Okay, now let's take it a step further. Let me mute this, unmute that. Okay. Now I'm playing my MIDI back. I'm playing my audio back from the deluge. Now I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to go into my sampler while it's playing back. And you can see it. It's lighting up, right? So now, because I have it in slice mode, check it out. It says slice, sample, slice, pad tap, pad hold. I need to check the feed to make sure you guys can hear me. Let me check the feed real quick. The streaming is weird because what it'll do is it will actually normalize low frequencies. So if you don't have the audio set up a specific way, you can lose pieces of audio because it normalizes things.
something I like. So now that
Yeah.
I got something I like.
You guys can hear me fine. Good. All right. So now let me go ahead and just hit play again. All right. That's coming from there. You can see it in here. So now I'm going to keep it on slice and I'm going to chop it. All right. When it comes back around, I'm going to chop it. I forgot you couldn't see me. All right. You can see the playhead. I'm going to chop this right here. This is just one way of using equipment that's not really meant for live performing. You can use it this way. And so what I would do is I would very quickly hit main. I would go to next track. And then I would hit drum kit. And then I would flick this knob all the way to the right, and it will pull up the very last program that was created. So that's always what I do. I just hit track and I just give it a spin, and it will always land on the right one. So now I'm good to go here. Now my chops are right here, but I have a feeling they're going to be loud. So I'm going to turn them down a little bit, and then I'm going to stop this, and then I'm going to keep it going. Okay, so that's one way you can use MIDI in a live performance scenario so that you can send the audio. If I wanted to send this audio to the looper, I could have very easily done that as well. So let me see. Let me finish this thought. All right, and so I want to play that like if it was in real time. I want to do this in real time so you can see exactly, how this situation would unfold without me stopping. All right. So I'm going to go to sampler. It's ready to go. I'm going to chop it. I don't want it perfect, so it's fine. All right, I'm going to hit stop. And now I have to be quick. Now I'm ready. All right, so now if I got something in here, I'll show you the next step. I'm just messing with it. Let's just get something in. Okay, then I'll just go to the next track. You don't have to even stop. You got your next little drum kit. All right, so that's how I would do it. Then what I would do is I would come back to my, my program that I made, and I would go into the program field and I would tweak the sample itself. Actually, I'd go to sample edit and I would tweak the sample itself. So that's that. All right. So that's how you would be able to use MIDI for purposes of audio for chopping, to be able to use MIDI in this way. It's multi-timbral workflow, but you do have some setup because you have to make sure that you don't have interference. So you have to do that kind of stuff with each individual track. So I'm going to show you the recall MIDI. the MIDI function that allows you to pull your MIDI even though you didn't record. Let me take a look at the chat. Okay, what's up, Gemini? Cool. Yeah, synths are very much like plugins. I totally agree with that. You know, when I first started making music, actually, you can see it on my very first YouTube video at the very bottom of my page. I used to use an iPad with an MPC 1000. I didn't have any synthesizers or any of that stuff, but I used the iPad as a plugin. Basically, I would plug in my camera connection kit with a USB to MIDI to USB cable, and then I would set up a bunch of different iPad apps on different MIDI channels and use my MPC 1000 to control them. So that's how I was learning. I shouldn't say making music, because I wasn't making music. I was just learning MIDI and learning workflow. I didn't make my first beat until CMA, to be honest. I was part of a group, CMA community, which is Computer Music Academy. Met a lot of people through that, and I never really made any beats. I just did a lot of like different kind of sound design stuff and synths and stuff like that. But and for YouTube, I would make music, but I never really made any beats before. So I've only been making beats a few years. I have a lot to learn, but yeah. So, so let me see. And okay, so that's that. And the next little part is the recall MIDI function. So let me just show you how that works. If I go to an unused track, it's completely unused, and I'll go into, now I don't know if this works if it's armed. Let's find out. If it's not armed, let's find out. I'm going to make this 16 bars, and I'm going to let it play, and I'm not going to hit record. I'll just show you. There's no record. I'm just going to hit play, and I'm just going to bounce some drums around. All right. Okay. Now, you're supposed to be able to find that MIDI now very easily just by holding shift and hitting that grid button. Now, I don't know if it works without it armed, so let's find out. I do not see anything, so let me try it now while we have it armed, but not recording. Let's see now. You know what? I didn't go down far enough before, but that's still not recording. I must be doing something wrong. Ah, you know what? I bet. I wonder if it's a MIDI preference within the track itself. It very well could be, because I know that I was just doing it. So let me see if it needs to be on. Was it on auto? I think it was on auto. All ports. Let me go to, oh, this is supposed to be for MIDI, but I'm wondering if I was doing it in the drums before. Let me try this one. Not recording. Okay. I don't understand why that's not working now, because I had this, it was working fine before. That's very strange. I was freaked out. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Am I hitting the wrong button? I wonder if it's main. All right, let me try this one. I think it actually might be main, the main button. Let me try that one more time. Hold down main and hit. No, that ain't it either. I don't know. I'm going to have to, you know what? That's going to bother me because I was just doing this earlier. So let me just make sure that my MIDI preferences are correct. Okay, so MIDI in on 1. And yeah, that should be fine. There's nothing in here. MIDI control mode output. Receive on. Yeah, I'm not sure why I can't do that. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to have to do a little update or something on that because I was just doing this and I was not recording. So I'm not sure why now. I don't think it needs to be enabled. That's very strange. If anybody knows what I'm doing wrong here, is it just no? Yeah, that's odd. Huh. You know what? I'm not going to leave anybody hanging. I actually saw a video a couple days ago, Tube Digger's video, and he did a whole bunch of things on there. Very, very good tutorials, you know, very good tutorials. So let me see if it's in my history. It's got to be in here, right? And oh man, I found out some beautiful things about the Prophet Rev 2. Okay, here we go, right here. Let me just get this for you. And
to our MPCs, which is our USB sound module, puts by simply.
It's crazy, right? Go to somebody else's YouTube video, do a YouTube video.
We've added
right here.
2.8 retrospective record mode. This means all MIDI events are now being recorded in the background. So if you come up with a great idea and you didn't record it, you can now recall this idea and add it to your production. Here's an example.
Okay.
So I'm going to trigger a melodic sample.
So he's just
I'm going to play some ideas.
A regular drum kit.
My pads.
All right.
But I'm not recording.
He's not recording. Am I going to get a flag for
now,
this?
If I like that idea, I can now hit shift and record.
And
now you can see the part.
You guys were, I bet somebody was telling me shift record. All right. I was hitting shift and this thing. It's shift record. And this thing, I think. All right. So let me try that. Oh no, I remember now what you do. You just hit shift record and it blinks. That's right. You hit shift record and then it blinks. And then there's your data right there. Check it out. I'll do it one more time. Man, apologize for that. That's crazy. Okay, you can see it. So I'm going to undo it. Make sure it's gone. Okay, it's gone. I'm not recording. Okay, I'm not recording. So, okay, and then you just hit shift record. And then what you do is you tap this button after you hit shift record. You just tap shift and hit record. Then you reach up here and tap that. You don't have to do it while you hold it. And there they are. So now that's going to make it so that anything you do, if you've played something by accident that was really, really dope, you can now just hit shift and record and go and get it. It'll pop up right in your grid. I think that is one of the sneaky biggest update features that I've ever heard of. Now it's pretty like understandable that Ableton would have that because it's a full-fledged DAW. But even undo and redo are not in every machine. So to think that you can have something that will find something that was never recorded, that's awesome. Props to Akai on that, for real. Props to Akai. I'm very, very impressed with that. All right. The next thing, now that we got that out of the way, what am I at? 45 minutes. All right. Copy. So copy pads to other programs. This is craziness because how many times I have wanted to just go, all right, I like this kit. I wish I had it in my other program. And then I got to go into browse. And then I got to scroll through and find it. And then I got to assign it. Now you can just literally, put it from one program to another program. But again, I've never done it. So this is like real world, application here to see if it's going to be a easy thing to figure out. I did watch somebody else do it. There we go. But I watched a lot of stuff in the last few days. So normally I would just hit copy. So let me just pull up a pad. Let me pull up something to put on this. I'll pull up this sample right here. All right, I like that. Whoa. All right, cool. So now I've got it on this pad in program number 4. I'll call this 1. And then I'm going to call this program 2. So I have it on pad A in 1. And then on track 8, I have program 2. So I'm going to put program 1's pad in the same spot in program 2. And there's a bunch of reasons why you would want to do this. Because you can send MIDI now from drum kits to another drum kit. Imagine that. You've got a bunch of samples on different programs, and you can trigger them from each other. If you want to send the MIDI from one program to another program to affect, you've got like you don't need a bunch of memory when you have this much flexibility, because you can do a lot of things with audio. All right, so I want to copy that. So normally I would just hit copy, and I would hit, the first pad, and then I would hit the screen, and then I would copy it to that pad. So that's how I would normally do it. Now, how do I get to that? Is it okay? So I hit shift and copy, tap the pad. Okay, that isn't going to do it. I picked a pretty long damn sample, of course. So on that one, I know that, you know what? Just call up too bigger one more time, huh? No, I'm not going to do that. Actually, we're good. I'll come back and do that another time. But that could be a very versatile, that could be something that I could use in real time. Because if I have, it's kind of like the Force. Like with the Force, you can take one single pad and copy it a million times and just change the tuning and change kind of the modulation on each one. You could lay out a whole track on one track. I mean, sorry, you could perform an entire song just from one track in a Force with the proper setup. So yeah, that's kind of, makes this a little more like that, I guess. And I'll come back and do this. So, like I said before, guys, I would like to do a little more, semi-formal, semi-structured. Next time I'll come in here and I'll go ahead and I'll go over the pad copy one more time, and I'll go over the MIDI recall one more time after I use it a couple times, just to make sure that that there isn't a little more to that. And I recorded MIDI today in a MIDI track, and we also played it back. So we recorded MIDI, we played it back, we modulated the MIDI manually. So when people talk about automation, I, typically do all my automation on the fly. So people will ask me sometimes, how do you automate this, or how do you automate, certain things? And for the most part, I don't. For the most part, and you're going to suffer in some areas, but I think it gives me personally a kind of unique sound, because if I can't do it with my hands in the time that I'm making the music, then it doesn't happen. So it's kind of an organic thing. Whatever you hear is something I created live. So, with this project coming out soon and stuff, you'll get to hear what's possible, in a one take recording. All the mixing I do is all within the equipment, for the most part. I do need to focus a little more on getting some dynamics in my live recordings, because when I'm recording all my equipment, what I do is I have, different parts on different pieces of equipment. I might have an arpeggiator over here. I might have a bass line going here. I might have some samples on this and some drums over here. And so what I end up doing is I end up either resampling everything straight into the deluge. So everything comes into this input. So all of my gear goes into my mixer and comes back. Or I'll pull up Ableton and I'll record everything into a single track. But it's all audio. It's not MIDI. So I work in audio. I use MIDI to work in audio, if that makes sense. So it'll be a little bit easier to understand, I think, when I have a better understanding of this 2.8. It's only a couple days old, but there's going to be some serious possibilities with this, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm really excited about being able to control all those volcas from over here, and to be able to change parameters and programs and be able to change patches. And with the 16 knobs, I can map certain knobs from certain machines. I can have all the cutoffs if I want, all the cutoff filters from all my equipment on just one Q-Link pad. And if I want to bring the low pass down on my Rev 2, I could put it here, the Prophet 6 right here. So to be able to map all this stuff to a station and to have control over stuff is going to be great. So we'll get there a little bit at a time. Let me know if you have any questions or anything, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for being here, everybody. And yeah, this was fun for me. So I hope I can, continue this on and share this stuff with some like-minded people. All right, let me take one more look here just to make sure. Yeah, you're right, man. You were right. If you said that, I don't know. You may just be joking and said that after. But yeah, cool. All right. I will get back to you guys on another day. Peace.